I'm Barry Allen Scott. I'm an artist here at the Brig, or Bridge of Erne in Perthshire, Scotland. Let me take you through the next step of my painting for Barbara McLagan. It's a memorial project commissioned by Culture Perth and Kinross. To learn more about this project, please see part 1 of this series, as for now I'm going to cover the early stage of Barbara's painting, including my surface of choice, colours and drawing. For Barbara's painting, I chose a special aluminium panel made by a company that I'm pretty impressed with called Artists Surfaces. They operate from down in Kent in England. This panel is 80 by 90 centimetres. I chose aluminium because canvas can be dented if I get too rough with it. Aluminium is rigid, smooth, lighter than wood, and it will not warp. I went on to prime this panel with a few coats of an oil-based primer. I like the luminosity of a white surface to work on. The aluminium doesn't necessarily need primed. That's refined safflower oil that I'm laying out there, useful for mixing whites and blues. This is liquid. It speeds up the drying of oil paint. All of my colours are artist quality for this painting. Schmink, Winsor Newton, Michael Harding and Rembrandt are my favourite brands right now. This is cadmium yellow. If you have any questions about anything I'm using here or anything that you see, just put it in the comment section. That's cadmium orange. Cadmium red. This is alizarin crimson. That's the permanent alizarin crimson. The regular stuff can fade a bit after 50 years. This one won't. That's yellow ochre. I like the Rembrandt paint. It's a little bit looser in consistency. I use a lot of earth colour. This is raw umber. My palette's changed to use a lot of this colour recently. I use it, as you'll soon see, for my drawing and as a staple colour in the mixing of flesh tones. Here we are with burnt umber, again with the Rembrandt brand of paint. And that's ivory black, useful to reduce the saturation of strong colours and achieve a good contrast. There's cobalt blue, expensive but beautiful colour. I'm off to get a bigger tube of paint there. That's titanium white. I use a lot of Michael Harding's titanium white. It's a slow drying and very opaque white, that one. A little goes a long way when mixing flesh tones later on in a painting and for bright highlights. Okay, and there's the refined linseed oil. Refined linseed oil used to modify the consistency of colours and aid their drying, since oil paints rely on their oil content to dry through oxidation. I keep to the fat over lean method as best I can. This is the photo of Barbara that you will see me painting from in this video. Believe it or not, Barbara was 95 years old at the time her daughter, Flora, took this photograph. Using a mixture of zestit thinners, raw umber oil paint and some liquid, I went on to draw out the painting. I also used a rag soaked in zestit to erase anything I didn't want. A rag is also useful to block in areas of darker tone, as it can be dipped and wiped across the panel to cover large areas. I usually draw by eye, and I prefer it to other methods. I use proportions and angles that I measure manually to guide me. In this case, I used an artist's scale measure to assist me too. An artist's scale is a simple set of calipers that are fixed to enlarge a given proportion by a certain amount. Here, the proportions I used were taken from the photograph. I used the calipers or scale and my freehand judgment to enlarge the photo to fit my panel. I find scaling up with a grid system or a projection too restricting and sometimes a bit impractical, although I do use those methods when the situation calls for it, although rarely. With practice, it's possible to be almost as accurate measuring by eye, and it comes with advantages of being able to move segments or exaggerate proportions freely and to suit the composition. It can also be quicker. I can, however, fool myself into thinking areas are drawn better or worse than they are, so other methods of checking a drawing are also advisable, especially if it's a commission where a good likeness is vital. It's a rare day indeed when a drawing doesn't have any mistakes in it. I wanted to exaggerate Barbara's posture to make her appear a bit more relaxed, and I had a bit of trouble with the position of her hands. So here you will see me use Kremnitz White, which is a fast-drying white paint, with a little bit of liquid added to it to knock back areas of drawing that I wanted to rectify. Once that was dry, I was then able to go over some areas of drawing again. You can see I cheated a little and used masking tape to help me achieve straight lines. I also used the white to bring back some highlights in the glass and in some of Barbara's ornaments. You will see as I progressed with the drawing that had I been using a darker colour for it, I would have been in trouble. Fortunately, my use of raw umber meant that this layer was quick drying and could be covered up easily to make amendments or compositional changes. As I moved forward with the drawing, I made it more tonal. I did this to knock back the white of the panel, therefore making it easier for me to judge and mix consecutive colours. Good tonal work makes outlines less obvious too, and here I wanted to make my painting more about the meeting of edges and planes. The purpose of my underpainting was really to serve as a guide. It's never set in stone, and as you will see later, the painting can still change in dramatic ways. In the next part of this series of wee videos, you will see how I worked with colour in Barbara's painting, before I apply thicker layers and move on to the final details. Thanks for watching this episode. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you like what I do. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section of this video, where I'll respond to them as soon as I can. Take care, and bye for now.